Welcome to the Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019 Board of Selectmen meeting. At 6:30, we're going to go into executive session. We're going in to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. In this case, it's Finance Director George G. Samia. And we'll also review and approve any executive session minutes. And then we'll come back in open session at 7 o'clock, and then I'll read the rest of the agenda then. I'll entertain a motion to...
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Roll call.
Clerk votes yes.
Mark, yes?
Leah, yes?
Yes.
See you at 7 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Again, this is the Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019 Board of Selectmen's meeting. I'll go over the agenda. At 7 o'clock, we'll have citizens' input. At 7:05, we have a public hearing. Better Foods, Foxborough LLC, doing business as Tavolino. They have an alteration of licensed premises. 7:20, we got Singh's Kitchen LLC, doing business as Bupa G's Gourmet Kebabs and Sandwiches at 29 Washington Street, number 3, for a common victualers and 7-day entertainment license. 7:35, we're going to introduce and recognize the graduates of the Suffolk University Certificate Program in Local Government Leadership and Management. At 7:50, we have a public hearing, the municipal conversion permit, the former fire station funeral home. 8 o'clock, we have a discussion with the Neponset Reservoir Commission on the PSS update. 8:25, we'll have a presentation about the Purple Heart signs entering town. 8:40, we'll have a talk about when we'll have the special town meeting warrant. 8:50, Finance Director contract, which we might move up earlier if we have a gap. 9 o'clock, Selectmen's update. 9:05, Town Manager's update. 9:10, Assistant Town Manager's update. And then we've got a bunch of action items.
Mr. Chairman, just going back to the item with respect to the public hearing and municipal conversion, just so we don't confuse anybody, the applicant has asked for a continuance to August 6th. So we might want to say that right up front, and then we'll get into it later on.
Yeah, I was going to explain the whole process when we got to it, but that's a good idea to
Just so
mention it
people
right now.
they're here right now, they don't want them to be
It is going to be
confused.
continued to August 6th. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ed, do you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. 7 o'clock, citizens' input. Anyone? All right, that's great. That's twice in a row.
I have nothing to say. Glad you're here.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, having heard none, Tavolino's here? Awesome. You guys ready?
Yeah. We'll try.
Ed, I believe it's a public hearing. Do we have a notice to read?
Should be.
Yeah, you can do most of this.
Yeah, alteration of premises. Ed?
Yeah.
You get that?
The Board of Selectmen of the Town of Foxborough, acting as the local licensing authority pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 138, will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019, at 7:05 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Town Hall, 40 South Street, Foxborough, Mass., on the application for an alteration of premises of an annual all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license for Better Food Foxborough LLC, DBA Tavolino, located at 274 Patriot Place, and including the adjacent address of 270 Patriot Place, Foxborough, Mass. Manager Thomas J. Peruna.
All righty. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
I'm Graham Silliman. I'm the owner, and Tom is the manager on the license. That's why the two of us are here.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about what changes you're making?
Sure. So Tavolino has been at Patriot Place for over 10 years now. We are at the limit of our physical plant. In the existing space, we are doing some changes in configuration, things we've always wanted to do. And because we're doing another expansion project, we have contractors there. We're adding an internal hallway that improves access to the restrooms from any point in the restaurant. Even if we're doing a private event in the back, you don't have to walk through it to get to the restroom. So there is a little bit of an improvement there, a little bit of change in configuration, and egresses had to be recharted. The biggest thing is, next to the restaurant, there was a 1,000 square foot Claire's accessories boutique, and we've been able to get that space. So we're going to expand into that. We've always had a little bit of a notch at the top of our space that was Tavolino Express. And it was a cafe. It served our to-go business. It had no seating. It's always been inadequate from day one. It's too small. But there's nowhere to go. Now we have somewhere to go to. By adding the Claire's space, which is exactly where the cafe is, so we now have an L-shaped space there. We're increasing our service counter. We are adding a few seats that can be there for just people getting a sandwich or someone coming in and for breakfast. There are now 2 hotels that weren't there before. And we added a bathroom as well.
And is it strictly for the expansion of the lunch, what was that,
No, I mean, that would be nice, but here's the economics of it. I mean, we've thought it through, and 2 things. We have a very big wish list of different groups that need to be accommodated. And also, listen, the economics are, this place needs to be busy morning to night. Otherwise, it can't pay for itself. So in the morning, we're increasing what we do for breakfast. We're increasing what we do for lunch. We are partnering with Illy Cafe, which is an Italian espresso company. It's the #1 espresso in Italy. We have staff that are getting specialized training, and we're trying to run an espresso bar, not like a Starbucks, but more like you would see at Federal Hill or in the North End. Okay. Now, concurrent with that, we want this to be going just like on Hanover Street in the North End. We want this to go late into the night. As I said, we've outgrown the limits of past the limits of our space. We have a good-sized bar at Tavolino in our original restaurant, and it fills up. And it fills up with people who like to eat. We have been getting negative reviews from people who say, I'm on a waiting list, and I tried to wait in the bar, and it was an unpleasant experience. I can't elbow my way past people who are all eating. So we need to have another space that works as an overflow space at night. We looked at this very carefully when we were trying to figure out, can we afford to do this? If you look at places like Starbucks or Panera Bread or Cafe Nero, they're dead at night. Okay, so we looked at this space as having 2 opportunities. One is, look, why don't you go wait there? And the bar is not really designed to spend a lot of time at it, and it has a menu, but it's a more limited menu. Okay, and we can do something like, if we have to, we can give you this is a slip, give this to the bartender, and you can get a free appetizer. Okay, while you're waiting. So it handles a problem that we've had of huge crowds that it's hurt our reputation, that we can't do anything when they wait. The other thing is that delivery services have begun to take off. We're doing significant business with DoorDash right now, and we've got to get those people away from our front door. We have to have a place that's logical for them to go to, where their orders can be staged and waiting for them without going on every available chair. And where they can wait if they're waiting for their order. So this space is kind of a Swiss Army knife for us. There are everyone had a wish list item, and we're accommodating it, like I said, early in the morning until late at night.
board members? Any questions?
How many additional seats are you adding, and is it going to be, it's just going to be a waiting area type of thing in a couple of the bar in the new area?
We would like it to be a place where people can sit as well. There are at least 20 seats. We're keeping it flexible, as we've done in the past, because on event days we take seats out, for example. But we want people to be able to sit and eat. one of the things about Patriot Place, if you're there, let's say you're a teenager, okay? There are lots of places to eat that are just like a counter, but they're not like a nice place that's inexpensive where I could get like an iced cappuccino. I mean, we don't even have a Starbucks. We do have a Dunkin' Donuts, okay? We want to be something that's maybe, we're independent, we're not a chain, and have maybe a little bit more of an urban vibe because it's a walkable street. But it needs to be a place to hang out. Okay, we have lots of younger people who are there, and we have people from the hotel as well. This is demand that we've heard from the hotel. Somebody's going to want to come, and they're going to want to have a bagel in the morning. Where can they sit? Right now, we've been opening up part of our restaurant while everyone's vacuuming and cleaning in the morning. We take a number of tables and we unset them from our normal restaurant service, and that's sort of like where you can sit if you're at the cafe. It doesn't really work for anybody. So we do want seating there.
Anyone else?
No?
Now, have you started any of this renovation, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How close are you to being complete?
It'll be after Labor Day, probably, when it opens. We wish it were before Labor Day, but can't go that fast.
Doing this like after you close at night and all that, or?
No, we took our cafe and we took the front of our restaurant and we built a new pop-up cafe. And it's interfered with an area of like where 4 or 5 tables are at the very front of our restaurant. Because construction is destructive.
Yeah.
There's no way that they could occupy the same spot. The other thing is the very back of our restaurant, we're adding the hallway. We're taking a room divider and we're moving it one section out so that if somebody wants to have a private party, like for a christening or a rehearsal dinner or a corporate event, we now have a larger space. Our space was always too small. And so we're moving that sliding door divider and we're adding a hallway back there. And that exists right now. You're going to be walking under steel studs, but it is a hallway.
Anybody else?
No?
Public hearing, anybody from the audience? All right, accept a motion to close public hearing.
A motion to close the public hearing?
Second?
All those in favor?
I make a motion to approve the Better Food Foxborough LLC, DBA Tavolino application for an alteration of licensed premise to include 270 Patriot Place and 274 Patriot Place.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good luck with everything.
All right, we're running a little early. Is Sing's Kitchen here? Yes. Do you guys want to come up? Okay. Well, this is not a public hearing, correct? All right. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
All right, so we have Sing's Kitchen, new kebab and sandwich shop on 29 Washington Street. You want to tell us a little bit about your shop?
Sure. So we already have a restaurant in Wellesley called Sing's Cafe, and I'm going to be the owner of this location, and I'm working with my father because he is the owner at the other location to help me get started with this business. But the idea is pretty simple. We're planning on selling just kebabs and sandwiches at more of a counter service type of establishment, just something, a place to get a quick bite.
Mm-hmm. And they have a few seats there, don't they?
They do. There's about 20 seats. So there is a little bit of room for sitting down and dining, but from based off of the location and talking with the landlord, they all agree that it's more of just an in and out type of place, and we think that we'll be depending largely on the game days and delivery services, like Uber Eats, DoorDash for most of our business.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions from the board?
Which space is this? So is this like with the Bank of America ATM?
It is.
Yeah, that-
It's
the
right next
empty
to the
building, okay.
liquor store.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
yeah.
I have a question about the entertainment license, sir. Could you
Yes.
explain why you need that, please?
Well, I checked with the town hall, and we wanted to put up just a small TV to watch the news and maybe the game, and they said that we needed to apply for one of those. So.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? No? Yeah, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the common vitular application for Bapu's G's Restaurant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Good luck.
Thank you.
When do you hope to open?
Just have to get through the health department part, hopefully in about 2-3 weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. All righty. Is it too early for the graduates of the Suffolk program, or?
Well, they're here, so we can probably. Aaron's not, he won't be here tonight. Yeah, he won't be here. He just contacted me.
At all?
Yeah, he won't be here tonight. He had a conflict last
So
minute.
might as well do that now then.
Yeah, we can probably do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little, again, early introduction and recognize the graduates of the Suffolk University Certificate Program in Local Government and Leadership and Management, and I'll defer to you gentlemen.
All right, so, first of all, I just want to say that it's with distinct pleasure that I'm able to introduce 2 new graduates of the Suffolk University Certificate in Public Administration Program, which we now have we've had a total in the past year of 6 graduates from that program, and I think it's probably one of the most that any of the towns have had that I'm aware of. So, Mary Beth left, she was a graduate. Mike has been a graduate. Nick Richo has been a graduate of that program. And we had 3 in this year alone. And so Aaron Heyer, who is not here tonight, but we recognized him at the last meeting when they introduced the new website, was here. And then Christina Metcalf is here, and Veronica Harvey is here. And I want to note for both of these 2 ladies, you might as well come up, and say, and meet the board officially. That both these ladies have a couple distinctions. Veronica graduated with distinction, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And Christina actually spoke at graduation. So there were 2 members of the class that spoke at graduation, and she was one of them, and gave a really nice presentation, so we were able to see that. And so I want to say congratulations to you both. And you're here before the board tonight because we're proud of you guys. So great
Thank you,
job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Graduating with distinction, and, now, did the class vote you to speak? Oh,
Yes, we did.
highly too. How many students took the class?
24?
Yeah, 24. There was a few more to begin with, but we ended up with 24 in the
24
graduating
graduates.
class.
Was
Yeah.
that
24 survivors, put it that way.
Yeah,
Rigorous.
it's intense, but it's very worth it. I think we both grew both professionally and personally throughout it. We've made a lot of contacts throughout a lot of other towns. So it's been a huge benefit on multiple levels, not just like an academic achievement. We've also got to know each other better. We got to know Aaron better, who spends most of his time over at the school, so I feel like it's a very beneficial course.
So it might be helpful if you describe for the board the kind of courses that you take.
Yeah, I was gonna just
say,
ask that.
is it-
And how long of a?
How long of a program it is, yeah.
So we started in September of last year, and we finished at the end of May. There were 5 semesters.
Five-week courses, so we took them in 5-week chunks. We had 6 courses overall, or 4 courses and 2 seminars. We did a leadership course with Professor Lavin, which spanned over the mornings of the first 10 weeks, which was really intense and culminated in a very research-intense project where...
Yeah, his was definitely the most intense. He's a professor through and through and has taught at Suffolk and other courses, so his was the real deal. There was like no you know, like, I can just no, he was very professor-like. But his was definitely the most research involved.
Yes.
And so what you had to do was research. You were assigned a certain town or city to research, and how it has progressed throughout
The
since it was
typology of it.
incorporation, basically. How things have changed, where you see it going in the future. You were assigned Foxborough?
I was assigned Foxborough, yes.
Yeah.
How'd we do?
I think that we're in a transition phase. I'll have possibly, depending on how well the commuter rail project goes, we could be more of a manager community, but we're kind of on the precipice, so we'll see how everything works out. But we're a good community, strong community, and I learned a lot. And the Union Straw, and learning that we're the straw hat capital of the world at one point, was a very interesting little tidbit of information. Yeah, I really got into the nitty gritty of everything. So I know Veronica had Cambridge, and
Yes,
that was a lot as
I
well.
worked in Cambridge previously also, so I did the city of Cambridge, and that was a lot of research, but I'm lucky enough to still know a lot of people there, so they were all very helpful as well, too. And it's funny to see the comparisons, because we worked in teams as well, too, and we each had our own town, our city assigned, so it was good to see everybody's take on where we've come from and where we're going to and where we are right now. So it was very interesting, but certainly the most intense of all the courses. We also did organizational change. We were very fortunate to have Rocco Longo as our teacher for that, who unfortunately has since passed. We then did law with Lisa Mead. So these have all been town managers at one time or another as well, too. She's also a law attorney. So we were very fortunate in not only learning academically from them, but their life experiences and what they were able to share with us, and like little tidbits for, going forward. Here's what I had, here's what I would do. Maybe you want to do it differently, but, so it was good to get their take on things as well, too. And then after Christmas, we had,
human resources with D.
right, human resources,
That was second, that we had
finance and budgeting,
finance, yes.
and then the last one was strategic leadership. So they were all really interesting, and very, very enlightening. I feel kind of empowered after taking it, It was good. It was really good.
Better,
Did it meet one day a week?
yes.
Yep, Friday.
Friday,
All day Friday.
all day Friday,
All day Friday.
all day
All day
Friday.
Friday in this room.
I heard we hosted it.
We hosted it here
Yes.
this year, so that's why we were able to get a couple more into the class, because we hosted it, and they didn't charge us extra for that, which was great. So, it worked out good for both of you to do that. So, we're pleased, and we have total of, like I said, almost, we had 6 graduates from this program here, which is significant. What it means afterwards is that they've effectively finished like 1/3 of their master's and MPA program by going through the Suffolk program this way. It's a very economical way to do it, obviously, because now they only have to pay for 2/3 of the remaining part of that, if they want to so choose to pursue that. And they will end up with it. If they do decide to pursue it, they can do it on their own time, but they would end up with a master's in public administration afterwards, which is obviously a significant step for them, and in their career paths as well. And as Mike is living testament to that. I mean, he's moved on to become a veterans agent, to be an assistant town manager, and now and aspire someday to be a manager. So this is the role that the whole program is put in place so as to train the future leadership of municipalities, because there's a real challenge, as we all know, trying to get folks into that business, because it's a very demanding type of role, and it doesn't inspire as many people as it used to years ago. It's very complex type of work nowadays, and these ladies have found out firsthand how complex it can be, just learning in the classroom as to how things work. So I'm really proud that you both did it and made it through with flying colors. So
Thank you.
congratulations to you both, and I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors as well.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity also.
Yes, very grateful for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Well, just so everybody knows, in case the public is wondering, so what do these ladies do? All right. Veronica was actually the assistant treasurer collector and just recently been promoted to that role. So congratulations. And And then Christina is actually administrative assistant to the director of the library director. So she's been in, yeah, she's that department coordinator, thank you. So I'm still working on those titles, so thank you. Yeah, so appreciate that.
So this course is run in conjunction with Suffolk University and the Massachusetts Municipal Association, as Bill mentioned, because of a need for upper tier leadership in municipal government. And it's been very effective at doing that. And because of the same need, there has since been created a program in the finance track,
Municipal finance, right.
which we're glad to see. That came after this. But you know, as you know, there aren't a lot of people out there with the credentials, you know, such as George has. And there are other communities that are, you know, still looking. So we're excited to see that track off the ground as well, in conjunction with, you know, professional, you know, top tier university and the Mass Municipal Association.
Do you have many more employees looking to take this, and how does that process go?
So each year, the Mass Municipal Association sends out applications to communities, and what we do is we circulate to all our employees. And I can tell you right now that there are probably 3 or 4 that I can think of right now that might be interested in doing this and pursuing this further. So so we may see 3 or 4 new applicants from this town going forward. There's a couple names I won't mention there. I won't put their names out there for them because obviously they'd have to commit to it first. But I can think of at least 3 or 4 that would come to mind immediately that would express interest in this.
So there's a couple of requirements to get into it, and one of them is they have to be a municipal employee, and the other one is they have to get the endorsement of the town manager or a town administrator. And so they're looking for folks that are, you know, that are really head and shoulders above their peers in municipal government, and possibly even looking to move up into a department head role or into municipal leadership, you know, administration, management, and same along with the finance track. They're looking for folks that are looking to move up to be town accountant, finance director, treasurer, collector, those sort of things.
Want to skip ahead and
Sure.
go to finance director contract?
Sure.
Seeing how George is here. Yeah, George, come on up. Welcome again.
Thank you.
So, Bill?
All right, so thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to welcome George Samia, who has agreed to serve in the role of Finance Director for the town of Foxborough for the next 3 years. We've agreed to terms that with a contract for him, and the board has seen the terms of that contract. George is looking to try and start his new role as early as next Monday, which will be great for us because we can always use the help, and so we're grateful for that. George has got a very extensive background in municipal government, 36 years in total, roughly about that. So, and his background stems from that of being he came up through the town accountant ranks. And then moved into the finance area and then into the town administration area, where he served as both town administrator and CFO for the town of East Bridgewater for the past 19 years. He'd spent a total of 30 years in total in East Bridgewater, serving in various capacities, including town accountant and town administrator and CFO. So we are grateful that he is available to us. And has clearly did a nice job during the interview process. We had a panel of local experts that we brought together for meeting with finalists, and George made his way through that process, did a really nice job. So we're very grateful to have him here, and grateful that he's interested in serving with us going forward for the next several years.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you. There's been a very a congenial process here. I mean, this is a good group of people to work with, and I appreciate the way everything came down with the people I've already met. It seems like a very nice town to be working for.
Thank you. All right, Ed.
Make a motion to approve the finance director contract.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
George.
All right, I'll see you Monday, barring, as I said, I get hit by a truck or something.
Oh, we don't want that to happen. believe me.
We'll see you Monday.
Do we have a contract that the board can sign, or they want to, so George can at least sign it, and then the board can sign it afterwards, at least, so we get George's signature
I'll
on
get a
it?
copy later
Yeah.
after it's done.
Yeah.
There's 2 copies there. if you want me to sign it.
I'll sign one, then I'll get it to the board, and they can make it.
To steal your pen.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Talk you way ahead of schedule.
We should do the Labor Council.
Yeah, I'm gonna check with her, make sure she's
Yeah.
okay with doing that next. And then we can do action items and talks and stuff.
That is, what's the date today?
Today's the 23rd.
Do you need me to do that one?
I'll switch it.
Okay.
With the,
I told Ed I'm making this.
yeah. At least it's not coffee.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, George.
George,
Thanks, George.
see you Monday.
See you Monday.
I'll see you later on.
Sure.
We are running a little early. Ally, are you ready? I'm ready. All right, come on up.
Sitting in the seat never gets any less nerve-wracking. What are you doing?
We're doing great. We just hired a new finance director.
No.
We can all breathe again, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm here to talk about getting some Purple Heart Purple Heart signs in every major entry point into Foxborough. Back on the 5th of August, 2014, the town of Foxborough was declared a Purple Heart town. And I have the declaration in front of me. It's kind of long, but I'm not going to read all of it. But it does say our community has a proud tradition of military service, and members of our community have been awarded the Purple Heart as a result of being wounded or killed in any action against the enemy of the United States, or as a result of an act of any such enemy or opposing armed forces. And the Department of Massachusetts Military Order of the Purple Heart has invited the town of Foxborough to join with other Massachusetts communities to designate August 7th of each year as Purple Heart Day in commemoration of the meritorious service rendered by its recipients and to honor the ideals so important to General Washington. And then, therefore, be it resolved. So these signs are the next step because with this proclamation, nobody knows about it, right? Nobody knows that we have a long list of Purple Heart recipients, some of which are still alive and residing in Foxborough. So the signs look like this. They're about this big. I don't know if you can see. And I would like them at every major entrance. I know somebody said that there's like 30 entrances into Foxborough. We're not going to do all that, just like 140, 95, and all of that. Let's see what else. So, I talked to the town engineer, and if we construct a new post with an anchor, it'll cost $57.75. However, if we attach just a sign to an existing post, the signs are $19.24.
Have you researched whether we could just attach a sign, or are
can
there
just
some
attach a
areas
sign.
that we need to put in?
I
little bit of
haven't
both.
looked at all the entrances, but the way the other towns do it, they just attach it. Like, for instance, on 140 coming in, there's a J.C.'s welcomes you to Foxborough, and there's that whole post. We could attach this to that post, or anywhere.
Oh, great.
Do we know approximately how many signs, how many entrances? Like you said, there's at least 30, but like, do we know how many we're gonna do?
I was thinking 12.
Okay. Okay, I would, for $60, I would opt for a standalone post and sign. I mean, I think it is deserving of the Purple
I
Heart.
don't disagree.
So do you need us to, we know we need to approve the signs. Do we need to approve whether it's standalones or are you just going to?
Well, I think we'll go as far as we can carry, budget-wise, we can carry for the cost, right? And have you?
So I have a couple of ideas when it comes to paying for the signs. I mean, obviously, I'd like the town to pay for it. However, if that's not feasible, one, I can steal them from other towns. Two,
Probably not a good course of
Not
action.
a good start, no.
okay. Two, we can have a general fundraiser. Or three, citizens can pay for a sign, and then underneath it'll say sponsored by or paid for by the family. However, if we do that, the price of the signs will go up because they have to change the font and the color. So it's going to cost about $23 if a family decides to purchase. If we do a general fundraiser just for the sign, it's $19, 24
Is that
cents.
sign like a standard approved by the state?
Yes, so they would be
By
manufactured by MassCore.
Okay.
So all the towns across the state who have this designation have the exact same signs, and it looks exactly like this.
So the pole and the sign is combined $60?
$57.75 for the, so total with the post anchor and the sign, $76.99.
Okay. And the Ohio DPW will install them?
They would, 2 guys.
Okay.
Takes 2 men, half an hour.
We'll see what we can do.
No, actually, I mean, I was talking to the treasurer of Foxborough Never Forgets,
Yeah,
so we will cover that.
I appreciate that very much.
Hopefully my treasurer is not having a heart attack.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'll
Any other
entertain a
questions?
motion.
Motion to approve request to place signs at entrances to Foxborough identifying Foxborough as a Purple Heart town.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. And now it's funded, too.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward. Thanks, Sally. Thank you, guys.
Can you have them by August 7th?
It says 6 to 7 week turnaround, so we're hoping, but no.
thanks, Sally.
All right, still running ahead. Should we talk about the warrant?
We can.
Let's go to that next. On the list, 840, Town of Foxborough Special Town Meeting warrant. So there are 3 potential dates.
Right, so October 28th, November 4th, and November 18th as possibilities. November 11th, by the way, is a holiday.
Right.
So we would stay away from that date, obviously. So all 3 dates have been reserved at the high school. So we have that ability. I was looking at October, and I think October, for some reason, is not. I'm going to check this for a second here. Just, I may have a conflict.
I can't be here on the 28th either.
You can't be on the 28th either? No. I think I'm away then, unfortunately.
I was going to suggest the 28th.
I mean, it's fine with me, by all means.
No, but we should have both you and Ed there. I mean, Bill there.
I just thought of that just now, so I apologize. It was. I think that works.
School committee meets on the 4th and 18th. I don't, or at least on the town calendar too. I don't know if, take that into consideration. They do not appear to meet on the 28th.
Yeah, I'm actually okay on the 28th. I could do the 28th, but there was a possible conflict. That's okay. I'm away the week earlier.
Okay. So would having a special town meeting on a school committee night be
Obviously, that creates a little bit of a challenge for them.
for them? Sure.
So the 4th is probably a good date, right?
No, you said the 4th
I'm
and the
looking at this,
18th.
I'm just looking at the school calendar also, and as of now, it appears the school committee has a meeting on the 4th in the, oh, sorry, in the,
All three.
yeah. No, that's a holiday, the 11th is a holiday. So it is the 4th and 18th, school committee does have a meeting.
4th and 18th.
On the
so-
calendar right now, yeah.
So we should tentatively look at the 28th of October.
28th of October would work.
Does that give us enough time to do everything we need from a timing point of view?
Tight, but probably.
Yes, we would have plenty of time to do that.
Right.
We would.
Do we need a motion, or we just,
Yeah, I would prefer that you do, that you would set that date, so we can then move forward from there.
okay.
I'm actually here.
Oh, you are?
I'll leave the next day.
Okay. As it turns out. So I will entertain a motion to have as a special town meeting, October 28th, 2019.
I just did get a note, though, that Selectman Feldman is not available on the 28th. Did note that. Cannot do the 28th.
And I was just saying I was incorrect. I actually can do the 28th. So I
You
don't know
can
if it
do the
matters.
28th.
Yeah.
I mean, the school committee, I'm sure, it could still meet. They could meet beforehand, they could meet after. Probably meet beforehand.
So don't worry about.
I wouldn't necessarily worry, but would limit that, I wouldn't necessarily limit your planning accordingly.
Well, I think the whole board should be there. Maybe November 4th then?
Yeah, that's the next, that date works fine.
Okay.
Make a motion to have a special town meeting for Monday, November 4th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, great.
Thank
Should
you.
ask our new finance director if he had any conflicts.
I will just,
I'm sure he'll be there.
there you go. I will note, just on your previous item, that, and it was something I failed to mention earlier, that was Selectman Ginny Capola was the one who initiated the Purple Heart Day in this community. So I thought it was worthy of mentioning that, and Selectman Feldman wanted to pass that along as well, so, okay. All right.
All right, still being a little ahead. Let's maybe do Selectmen's update.
Sure.
All right, anybody have any updates? I have none. Ed?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. Bill, town manager's update?
All right, so, just a couple things. First of all, you might have noticed that there is quite a bit of construction going on. That's down on near the new Hampton Inn Plaza. And that's the new rotary, that's a new roundabout, rather, that's being built by this, with the state funding. And that project is now underway, fully underway. And we should be, I would think, should be buttoned up with probably within the next 4 to 6 weeks. So it's a little bit of inconvenience of going in that direction right now, but the new construction will actually make it easier for people to navigate that turn. That area has been a little bit nerve-wracking for folks to go through that intersection from time to time because of all the traffic that's going through there now. So we want to make sure that people are aware of that. Just a word to a lot of our friends on the Cape today. There was a tornado that touched down in the Cape this afternoon that affected several communities on the Cape. They were the towns of Dennis, Chatham, Yarmouth, Harwich, Sandwich, Barnstable, Brewster, and Mashpee. And it looks like Harwich was damaged the most. They've declared a state of emergency. I reached out to some of my colleagues down there and said if they need help from us, we're certainly willing to offer our assistance. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of cleanup that'll be as a result of that. So they were doing a damage assessment at this time, but it did cause quite a bit of damage. Fortunately, I don't know of many people that were hurt, but it did cause quite a bit of damage. And I know that one structure, a particular hotel, was damaged. That was in the wake of that. So waiting to see what happens from that. Just a couple other things I wanted to mention too. that Paige Duncan was notified this afternoon that the town was awarded a $75,000 grant from the Gaming Commission to help develop a plan to market the region. This would include working with the towns of Rentham, Foxborough, and Plainville as a destination for shopping, gaming, and entertainment. This would not necessarily exclude Mansfield or Walpole, as they have hotels in the region and also a major entertainment venue at the Xfinity Center. Also, one other thing I did want to mention, and now that George is here, the board had mentioned that you wanted to have a discussion of doing some financial planning for the budget, and maybe having some time in August when we could talk about that, sort of pre-town meeting, and having sort of a kickoff to the budget season early. We mentioned that we would do that with the advisory committee, and I think that was probably a good idea to do that this year and sort of get things off on the right footing.
And I think the school committee too?
And the school committee as well,
Yeah.
right? So I will include them in that process. And then also we talked a little bit about doing something for a pre-town meeting, so like a pre-town meeting discussion to make sure that everybody is fully aware of what the issues are on the special town meeting warrant, and that they go to the meeting fully aware of what the issues are, both pro and con, as to what the issues are. Let's see, we still are trying to finalize the generator for the COA. That issue has come up every so often, and we're still pursuing that. For some reason, this funding from the state has hit a snag along the way, so we're trying to work with the housing authority to make sure that still happens. We'll get an update on that hopefully by tomorrow. And then the Snyder parking agreement has been finalized, and the board is aware of that. And then we believe that the Public Works Department is actually was going to try and start lining that property this week. We still ordered, there's a gate that we have to order to cordon off that area, so that's waiting on that, and we just don't know the timing of that. So as soon as we have that, we'll be able to make that area fully accessible for public parking. And I think that's it. Those are the main things. I did spend some time in Boston this afternoon with Representative Barrows and in the town planning director, and some folks from Gillette Stadium, the Kraft Group. We're talking with the Mass DOT, the Financial Management Control Board, because they're looking at adopting a new schedule for the train, a better schedule, which was adopted today, and was proposed by the state, which will actually provide better and more convenient times to get into Boston using the train from Gillette Stadium during the pilot program. So we're very pleased to see that took a turn for the better, and that by waiting a little bit longer and working those details out, it looks like it's going to actually be more beneficial for everyone to see that new schedule. So
When's
please
that
be able to
supposed to
report
start?
back on that. It's either going to be October or November, Chris. It looks like they're trying to get it done in October, so get it started in October. And as soon as we have the information, we'll put it up on our website to let everybody know. And we'll market it as much as we can. All right?
Great. Mike?
Sure. Three things to touch on. The first one is we're working to fill the final vacant position in the finance department, and that's the office coordinator for the assessors and finance department. So we're in the process of going through those applications right now. We've had 62 applications, and so we've had a very good response. And the chief assessor and myself are going through that, and we'll build an interview panel, and of course include the new finance director in that process as soon as he gets on board Monday. Second position that we are recruiting for is a mechanic for the Department of Public Works. We did have Steve retire recently, as I mentioned at the last meeting, so we'll be looking for a mechanic that can work on anything from a diesel bus to a truck to some of our smaller equipment that we have. So it'll be someone who has a variety of skills. And the final one is the police chief recruitment, and that's going to be a three-stage process starting this Friday, with a panel of experts of folks that are coming from around the Commonwealth and the nation to have a discussion with the two individuals, internal candidates. That's Lieutenant Noonan and Lieutenant Grace, and that's The panel is centered around the future of policing. And they'll each have 45 minutes with that panel to have a discussion and share their thoughts on and respond to questions from the panelists. I'll be facilitating that panel with the experts asking the questions. Then on the 30th, we'll have a third-party consultants come in, and they'll be doing a half-day assessment center here at Town Hall with the candidates, running them through a series of drills and typical type of things that they would see as a police chief, and they'll be assessed and will be presented both with the video footage and the results from the panelists on that. And then the third stage of that will be similar to what we did with our last chief recruitment, which will be a community panel, and we'll be working along with the Board of Selectmen on putting together a panel of about 7 people representing the community at large. So that'll include someone from the administration, from the Board of Selectmen, from last time we had somebody from the Stadium Advisory Committee. We'll probably have someone like that. Clergy members or member, and possibly someone representing the business community. And the school department. Last time we had the superintendent of schools on that panel. So we'll be working with the Board of Selectmen in doing that, in selecting our new police chief. That's all I have.
Okay, great. All right, just in time for public hearing, municipal conversion permit, the former fire station and funeral home. And just as a little background on that, the applicant has requested a continuance to August 6th. Also, both myself and Leah have to recuse ourselves, which means, and Dave Feldman's not here. He will be here on the 6th. So we're going to open the meeting. Ed will take over, read the public hearing, public notice, and then him and Chris will continue it. So both myself, Leah, you are also recusing yourself?
Correct.
Are recusing ourselves.
In case people in the audience are concerned about the fact that there are only 2 selectmen talking about this issue at this time, we had been in contact through the town manager with town council that stated that 2 of us would form a quorum, especially where we're in the process of making a determination to move this meeting to August 6th at a time to be set on our schedule. I'll read into the record the public hearing notice pursuant to section 7.1 municipal conversion permit, chapter 275 zoning of the code of the town of Foxborough. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 23rd, beginning at 7:50 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room of the Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, Foxborough, Mass. The Board of Selectmen will discuss the sale of the former fire station at 40 School Street and the Keating Funeral Home at 21 Market Street to the Douglas A. King Builders, Inc. Said property consists of 19,444 square feet and is proposed for a redevelopment as a mixed-use project involving a brew pub restaurant, 19 market-rate apartments, and 26 parking spaces. The former fire station will remain and be remodeled, while the former funeral home will be demolished and replaced with a 15-unit apartment building. A copy of a preliminary site plan, floor plans, building elevations, and applications may be inspected at the town clerk or Board of Selectmen offices during regular business hours. Any person interested in wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the designated time and place. The notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website, MNPA website at http://www.masspublicnotices.org.
I make a motion, we continue the public hearing till August 6th at a time to be determined,
So the time of that hearing would be 8:15.
8:15.
I second the motion.
Motion made, seconded, all in
All in
favor?
favor? It's unfortunate. I think people are here for this meeting, but at the request of the applicant, the meeting has been postponed to the August 6th date.
And for the record, we did notify all the abutters it was notified through the planning department. So notice did go out about the moving of the date.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Welcome, everybody, again back. Leah and I can now join the meeting again. So, 8 o'clock, I think we can get started on the NRRC. Looks like everybody's here. So, hold on a second, let me just pull up right area. All right, so we have a meeting with the NRRC. Welcome. Thank you for attending. Good to see you all again. The long-awaited letter from Mass DEP came to us it was dated June 7th. I don't remember. We got it June 12th. Wasn't certainly the news we were hoping for. I think I'm going to read the letter into the minutes.
Before you start, Mr. Chairman, should I recuse myself as I am a property owner that abuts the reservoir?
I don't think you have to. It's
So
more of a
not-
discussion. We're not
not for
voting
something
on
like this.
anything.
Strictly a discussion.
Okay.
Purely just informative and a discussion. But thank you for letting us know. The letter's from the DEP, specifically Millie Garcia Serrano, who we've been dealing with, I guess you guys have been for decades. The letter is dated to Mr. Keegan. Dear Mr. Keegan, this letter is to inform you that on May 31st, 2019, the department issued an approval of the Schneider Electric USA, Inc. Permanent Solution Statement, PSS, dated January 31st, 2019, for the Neponset Reservoir site located in Foxborough, Massachusetts. The department's approval formally completed the department's oversight for this site under Mass General Law, Chapter 21E, with certain reservations of rights. The approval was issued based on representations and technical information submitted by Schneider in conformance with the MCP and the department's technical review and oversight since 1995, along with the benefit and input of a robust public involvement process adhered to by local and regional, private and public stakeholders. Mass DEP is cognizant that public interest still remains, so Mass DEP will continue to maintain open communication as to future efforts regarding the reservoir. Accordingly, the department remains committed to working with you as it pertains to future planning and/or maintenance efforts you may envision for the reservoir. Please do not hesitate to contact me as the town moves forward with the next phase of this important resource. Sincerely, Millie Garcia Serrano. She's the regional director. So that's the letter we got. Wasn't what we wanted to hear. Love to hear your input, and then we'll discuss more. Okay. Well, then I'll continue on. We're certainly. We also received, we certainly forwarded this letter to Town Council, Kate Connolly. I will also read into the record Kate's response. This one's addressed to our board secretary, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. I have no further comments than these I previously provided, and I do think the relevant town boards should determine whether they want to establish a plan for monitoring. There is really no appeal process to get DEP to change its mind and conduct monitoring, and even if the town were to bring complaint in court, the court would likely defer to the agency given its particularized expertise in environmental matters, and that it conduct a long, albeit we think inadequate, public comment process. Perhaps the Board of Health should put on their agenda, and/or the Board of Selectmen could have a joint meeting with the Board of Health to discuss this with the NRCC. I'm happy to attend if that would be helpful. It is not appropriate for an executive session unless there are any changes to the town that would consider litigation, which again, I don't think is worth the cost given the likely result. I've since talked to Kate. There is an informal process that we could ask the Environmental Protection Agency to review everything that's done. Kate, I only had a chance to talk to Kate yesterday. I apologize for that. Kate's looking into that process. It is very informal. They can even accept taking on the responsibility of seeing how it's been handled or just say no. Kate's big thing is we should just continue monitoring. The Mass DEP did leave open the fact that if we had any concerns going forward, we can bring that back to them. And I think any concerns we have going forward would be concerns in the monitoring of what we've been doing all along, or what your board has been doing all along. I guess the discussion here would be, would you just continue doing it? Do you want the town's involvement? Would the Board of Health be an important aspect of that? Your opinions at this point would be
Okay,
welcome.
I'll kick in at this point, and Rick Lewis, NRRC. I have met with the water department. The greatest risk of the residual cadmium being left behind in the reservoir is to the water supply of the town, and the town water department had deferred to Schneider's consultants, and they had stopped monitoring for heavy metals in the town water from those wells because they were being done, quarterly, or no, not quarterly, 3 times a year by the Schneider's consultant. And so I informed them that would no longer be occurring, and they did collect a sample late last year. This discussion all happened at the end of last year, and they did collect a sample and had that analyzed, and it came back fine. But that really is the highest risk point, is the groundwater and the groundwater supply to affect anybody's health or any other immediate issues. What I have not looked into is that as part of the last study that was done, Schneider's consultants were required to install monitoring wells, and whether or not we can get access to those wells for further monitoring, or if the monitoring will have to be done would be strictly for surface water. The surface water reports actually came back looking very good, with the exception of typically the winter months. That's the only time that we've had or seen upticks in heavy metals in the last 5 years. So during the summer months, the water quality has been significantly improved. That's one of the main reasons why they got this approval from the DEP. But we feel that it's inappropriate still to be leaving behind this much contamination in the sediments in the reservoir. The other thing that came out of their study was that they went into the last 5-year study expecting to see that the sediments most impacted would be getting buried deeper and deeper in the bottom of the reservoir as sedimentation occurred. And what they found out was that was not the case, that because of the chemical equilibrium with the cadmium in the groundwater, that the highest concentrations of the cadmium were still in the top 6 inches of the bottom sediments of the reservoir. So that makes it still within the very much in the ecosystem and where plant uptake would be, and other aquatic invertebrates, and it's easy to get into the food chain, I guess is my point, because it's being so shallow in the sediment still. I had a discussion also last year with the EPA and with a couple case managers that I know from working with them in the past. And they said that is not uncommon for towns or for harmed properties to take a position contrary to what the DEP has decided and come to them and petition them to review the files. And then they have the authority to have a unilateral order and request either further studies or cleanup be done. So I think that is a very appropriate next step. I think there's sort of two different levels of action here. One is the continued monitoring, and then also very much I think it's the petitioning of the US EPA to consider review of the case and seeing where they stand. The state has kind of ignored their own regulations in this case, even though the contamination levels are above state mandated levels for cleanup. They've ignored that and decided not to pursue any kind of cleanup. And then even other comments that they made about things that need to be done, when it came down to it, they said, oh no, you won't be able to do dredging, you won't be able to do this or that with the reservoir because of the contamination, and there's nothing to be done about it. And that's not the position they should be taking on this. They really have lost their impetus to enforce their own regulations, and I think the US EPA would recognize that. So, anybody else have anything?
The other thing that we need to discuss at some point is the downstream impacts. The possibility, what's going on there, and have a real good, robust, love that word, right? Robust discussion about what could be happening there, because it's not just us anymore, or it may not just be us anymore. It could be 19 communities that go from us all the way down to the Boston Harbor. And if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to read out all these towns that are now involved. It's Boston, Reedville, Hyde Park, Mattapan, Dorchester, Quincy, Walpole, Sharon, Norwood, Canton, Stoughton, Westwood, Dedham, Milton, Stoughton, Medfield, Dover, and Randolph. If we all remember, we did see a very, very impactful statement coming from the Neponset River Watershed Association, and there were reasons that was very impactful. So at some point, we do need to understand what is going on there.
So I think taking the easier of the two first, monitoring, who do you think should continue on with the monitoring? Do we hire an LSP? Do we talk to Schneider about those wells, those monitoring wells they already installed?
I think we could have a discussion with the health department and the water department and see if the laboratories that we use, the town uses, are the same laboratories that Schneider was using before. They will set up sampling kits so that it's very easy to pull a sample and have the right bottles and the right preservatives and so forth in those bottles so that those analyses can be done. And then it's just really getting it on the calendar to do it. My recommendation would be that the most important one is the winter months, to do something either December, January, February, somewhere in there, preferably January, which is not a great time to go out and be handling water, but it's the time that the investigations have shown that it's the highest likelihood of having mobile cadmium in the water. But, I mean, it could be retaining somebody to do it, or having one of the town groups take it on, or we could take it on, whichever. At the request of the Highway Department, this is sort of on a different topic, but the stormwater runoff off of Edwards Road, we volunteered to take samples from that and have a report done for the Highway Department to look at what kind of loading rates and so forth was coming in off of the road and entering the reservoir over there for stormwater purposes. There's a big push on to do more to control stormwater runoff from roads and parking lots. And that, for instance, there's going to be 3 samples collected and a report written, and it's going to cost like $2,000 to have an outside consultant take care of it. So doing it in-house is much less expensive, not even half that cost is the actual laboratory cost. So, if we can handle it in-house or within one of the town departments, health department, water department, it would be much more cost-effective.
But we want, not only do we want certainly the water tested from the water department, but we also want testing in the reservoir itself.
Yes, that would be good, and those wells too. I mean, that's testing the town wells is sort of like too late at that point, really. If there's an issue, you really don't want to find out at that point. You really want to find out before it's gotten there.
And would there be multiple sites around the reservoir that you would do, or?
There's where Gungeon Brook enters the reservoir in the southwest corner has been historically where the discharge occurred and where the highest concentrations are observed. That is one of the key areas. The monitoring wells that were installed are on Ridge Road, and that's to the east of that area. And then the town well field is further east than that. So probably the cove where the discharge occurred, Pickerel Cove, which is the next one closest to Ridge Road. That's between Kersey Point and Ridge Road, that area. And then probably the wells, all those 3 points would be the most probable points of seeing any kind of uptick in contamination levels, if there were any.
Okay, so I think maybe me, you, health department, water department, maybe get together in an informal meeting and talk about how best to monitor it.
Yeah, that'd be
Sound like a
good.
good idea. Since I'm the representative to the committee anyway from the board. So that's that side. We'll talk about getting that together relatively quickly.
And can I just ask a question? So were you saying that we may have possibly a role in that? Was that?
We could. I mean, our charter as an organization is to look after nutrient levels and water quality in the reservoir. So I could see how we could be part of that. However, the town well sampling or the groundwater sampling, I would think would fall more into the water department.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. So, Mr.
And
Chairman.
overseen by the Board of Health.
Well, actually, the water department, that's all right.
Oh!
And as the lights go out. The water department does its own monitoring as required by DEP itself, so to maintain water quality. So they're regularly testing those wells to make sure that there's no impact on any of the well water itself. As far as the water conditions, that's where the monitoring of that's where the funding came in. That was set aside for that purpose. So there is funding available to do that, correct?
There is.
But we are really mandated to deal with the phosphorus issues. We are not at all. I would, from a risk management point of view, we cannot be involved with any sort of monitoring for drinking wells, the cadmium stuff.
You wouldn't be.
We couldn't be at all. So if we were talking about storm runoff, that sort of thing, that's fine.
That's true.
But then there's some of what we're talking about, we can go up to a certain point and we cannot go any further.
That's true. Our mandate is to deal with the phosphorus and the nutrient levels and plant controlling plants and
within the reservoir.
You do not get involved in the monitoring of wells, and we know that. So that's not, I'm not suggesting that, but in terms of water quality within the reservoir itself, that's a different issue.
Well,
Well-
you're dealing with two different issues, the phosphorus and the cadmium.
Right.
Theirs is the phosphorus, you know,
The town has not been compensated for the cadmium.
Okay.
right, at any point. So we'd have to take that on.
Yes.
That's why I think we as
Yes.
form a subcommittee to discuss how we going forward.
I
'Cause
see.
Schneider Electric is not monitoring anymore.
Right, they're no longer dealing with it.
Right.
And the town does do monitoring on all the wells for the water quality, but those water quality parameters are a very broad group of parameters that are state mandated, not the specific heavy metals that we're dealing with here, the cadmium, aluminum, and a couple other heavy metals, chromium specifically. So those don't fall under the standard procedural sample criteria.
They do, it's part of the drinking water testing though, isn't it?
Those metals are not part of the standard group that they test for.
It's just assumed you wouldn't want cadmium near your drinking water, so.
No, but I was under the impression, I was under a different impression than that though. Because I believe they were testing for that.
They tested for it a long time ago, and then Schneider got onto a regular program of testing it, reporting it back to the town, and they stopped doing the testing on that. And I don't think there's any like coliform bacteria and nitrate and iron and manganese, and there's a lot of parameters that they do test for that's on the standard list. The specific heavy metals that we're concerned about are not.
Okay, I'll address that with the water department tomorrow.
When we get together.
Sure, fair enough.
The other edge of that sword is a letter, maybe to EPA. You know, let's get a letter going. Certainly with us co-signing it, maybe from Bill. But I think we should move forward with a letter to the EPA requesting them. But maybe you could draft an initial copy, because you brought up some great points that I think should be included in that letter.
Yeah, I could get
We
with
should-
Kate and discuss that with
Kate.
her.
Yeah.
And she actually worked for the EPA at one point, and so she knows more precisely what has to be in that letter and that documentation. But I could probably add some context to it, and I'll give her a call and see if she needs any.
Yeah, definitely let her know you met with us, and that
Yes.
we do want to go forward with a letter to the EPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very stern letter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helped with us sending the letter to Mass DEP. Still didn't get the results we wanted, but I think coming from the town now is better than coming from NRRC.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why it took them over 3 months to get a response on something that shouldn't have taken 3 months to respond to in way of the results of that investigation. I think that it was the town's involvement and interest and strong position that we took was very much, they knew they were going to be going contrary to public opinion by issuing what they did.
At some point, we may want to, has anybody heard from headquarters of Schneider Electric in Andover for the US or for Global in France? At some point, we may want to get a formal statement from them, find out what headquarters knows, what they do know, what they think, as we, you know, it's just something that we may want to think about, because the reason that the NRC at least is surprised at some of this is this decision is going against their global branding. And their global branding, they're a sustainability company. I mean, you can go onto their website and you can see, you know, we embrace our responsibility as stewards of water. I mean, we strive to ensure public health, safety, and security. These are things that, you know, they paid a lot of money to, you know, a public relations firm and communications, and the branding is a huge impact to a company, and this is against what they believe. And they talk about short-term decisions versus long-term vision and mission. They even have a whole product and service portfolio with water types of solutions that help with cleaning. They just had an innovation challenge in March where they were bringing in the public and private sectors. And it's just something that it's a little confusing and surprising to see some of this and what's going on. So we may want to think about engaging the headquarters in Andover, that the CEO there, supply chain, she would probably understand. I wonder what she knows about all of this, rather than just a line item disappearing, you know? So it's just something that, I mean, go onto their site. Anybody, please go onto their site, look at it. Look at, in particular, the section of water and wastewater. There are things, we gave a presentation last August 21st, on partnering with the town and partnering with them on creating a success story and helping Schneider Electric create a success story in our backyard, the backyard of Gillette Stadium. I mean, it's huge. And it's something that we still, we're 110% ready to go on that. If you want to see that again, we can do it again. We could present it again. We're talking about significant benefits, the risks of consequences of no action, which is going on right now, versus the significant impact, the benefits of what especially Schneider could get out of this with a success story. So the opportunity here is just, it's mind-blowing, and it's just something, we're all sitting here, and it's just something that we may want to think about actually going, presenting, and hearing what the executives have to say about this. They've been through it. They've been through it. Pennsylvania 2015, take a look. Schneider Electric, it's a little deja vu going on here, so we could turn this around into something that could be really impactful.
And a number of years ago, when Snyder had donated some money for the Crack Rock Pond property, and they had helped rebuild, refurbish. There was a building there, and a nice, beautiful deck overlooking Crack Rock Pond. And when that was happening, I remember that one of their vice presidents, I believe, was giving a speech because they donated some of the money, and he said, "We're so excited to do something like this within Foxborough, and we are looking forward to the next opportunity to do something positive in partnership with the town." So that was a number of years ago, and this could potentially be a great
It's
opportunity
just really
for
against
them.
everything,
It fits
yeah.
in with their branding, really.
Yeah.
If you do spend any
It's
time on their
against-
website, it's like hand in glove. It's like hand in glove. And, you know, we really, as I said before, we can only go so far in this.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of this is really needs to be turned over to you guys, because we are responsible for water quality with respect to phosphorus, not for heavy metals. So we're happy to come and, you know, talk to you, have meetings, you know, all that kind of stuff. But in the end, it really is you guys.
Well, we're ready.
Thank you. I so appreciate
All right,
hearing that.
just to humor me, can I read what the guy said at that?
Yes, please.
We've been in the community for more than 100 years strong, pushed for a bigger and bigger community project for the company to fund in Foxborough. My reaction was, that's not big enough. We wanted to do something to make a splash in the community. The community could do other projects like this in Foxborough. VP, Vice President at Schneider, over at the Lane property. Sorry, thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
All right, that's great. Let's, we got some action plans we're gonna follow through on. I'll get back in touch with maybe the little subcommittee soon. And we'll get that letter going to EPA.
Yep.
And maybe a letter to the CEO of
That would be
Schneider
nice.
Electric.
Her name's Annette Clayton. She sounds very nice.
Thank you. And obviously, there's a little concern because the place is packed.
Yes, and thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks. It means a lot that everybody showed up.
It's obviously not a good outcome, but it's kind
Right.
of nice to see so many people out there together, bringing them together.
Well, maybe we'll see more at the next, no, I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, continuing on. We just got action items. I believe we did everything else.
Seems to be covered, so
Yeah, so
we move forward.
you're up.
Motion to approve early liquor license extension request of 11 a.m. Sundays during Gillette Stadium football season for Saga Steakhouse.
Here a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just remember us talking about this last year too on this one. And didn't we want to put the 2019, 2020, because the way the motion read or something, it doesn't specify the season, or are we good there? Like, could someone interpret that as all
The
seasons?
Gillette Stadium football season.
Okay.
Yeah, we should, I think we've,
I mean, it specifically says football season.
yeah, but we've always included the dates, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought like at least say 2019, 2020, so that's not a blanket for,
Yeah, we actually, that's a good point, because this could be construed as, although,
I mean, and it's on, the letter isn't even clear too, it just says through the year of 2019. So that wouldn't even cover the entire football season.
Yeah, we've always included the dates.
This is for Saga Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at their letter, it says 2019, through the year of 2019. So it just is a little bit ambiguous in my opinion.
so we'll just change it for the 2019, 2020 football season.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be, yeah, it would have to be through 2020 at this point, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's 2019 for now. You're not giving really approvals for next calendar year at this point. Right.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, we can't, what if they don't have a liquor license?
Because you don't even know if they'll have a license for 2020.
So it's not even the football season,
So
it's,
your license season only goes from till the calendar December
Yeah.
31st.
yeah.
What did we write for those other places that have gotten it prior to this?
What they would do typically is then they would request in December, if the playoff season was going to occur, they would request the extended times in January or
Yeah.
the late December, January.
Yeah, so their letter then is correct through the year of
Okay.
2019.
But I still think we've always put the specific days.
I agree. I
Right.
remember
You know,
reading. them.
11, 12,
So there's no question about it. Okay.
so there's no question that these are the specific days.
Because one could say a Sunday in football season, there could be a bye week, or there, like,
Yeah, all the others had the specific dates.
is it home games, is it all games, is it every Sunday, is it?
Right. Yeah, it was strictly for home games, but yeah, I think you're right. We can actually have the actual dates. Because that schedule is in place now, so we can
Right.
refer to it.
And this does say for potential
Yeah.
playoff games too, so it's kind of a
And there are no
mess with the
potential
dates.
playoff games in January, or in December rather, so,
Right, but that's in their letter.
Yeah.
okay.
So do we then just get rid of the motion and just do it
Yep.
for home Patriot games on Sundays until December 31st?
Right, and then we can ask them to give us specific dates for it, and we can always, we can have it in the record accordingly.
So should we wait till we get the specific dates, or just
You still have
approve
got
it?
time, because there's not any really,
No hurry.
there's no hurry, because the season doesn't start, the official season doesn't start until September. But you can actually have, and I think this is the first of the letters that we've seen so far.
And I think I remember on the same one last year, there being more discussion and ambiguity, where the other ones had all the specific dates.
Specific
Because I
dates.
remember reading them.
Is their schedule even fixed yet? I don't,
It is, yeah, it's
Yeah.
fixed in
Yeah.
April, yeah, so the schedule is set, but it's just the preseason games will be,
I think we should table till we get the specific dates.
move to table this article until we get further information. Make a
Second.
motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Second item, Motion to approve application for a block party on Saturday, August 24th, 2019, from 3 PM to 8 PM on Phillip Lane.
Second.
All those in favor?
Motion to cancel 2 one-day wine and malt beverage liquor licenses for July 20 and 21, 2019 for the Mad Descent Music Festival issued to Foxborough Realty Associates on June 25th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor?
Just for
Sorry.
discussion, that event was canceled.
Yeah.
I know that, but why are they requesting?
Well, because they cancel them, see that you're only allowed so many licenses per year for one-day licenses, and they didn't want to have those go against that allotment for the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That explanation.
But it already went by.
Yes, but this is just,
They just canceled them because they didn't actually use them.
yeah. And it doesn't go against their number for the year.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve tuition reimbursement for Sergeant Ken Fitzgerald in the amount of $1,849.50.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Motion to approve public event application for the Max Performance Annual Sharon Triathlon on 8/11/19 from 8 a.m. to 9:45 a.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve public event application for the Rodman Ride for Kids nonprofit cycling event on 9/21/19 from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Motion to approve Foxborough J.C.'s National Night Out event on the Common on 8/13/19 from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Motion to approve Foxborough J.C.'s Fall Vendor Fair on the Common on 10/19/19 with a rain date of 10/20/19 from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Approve minute meetings from 6/25/19.
Second.
Any further discussion? Anybody have any changes?
I just had one really minor one. If you go to page 6, right after the bullets, where it says L. Gibson said there was room for improvement, I want to make sure that's improvement on the evaluation, not in relation to Bill's performance.
Thank you, Lou. That's a good clarification.
There's always room for improvement. I didn't have any other.
Yeah, neither did I. So, as corrected?
As corrected, motion to approve meeting minutes from 6/25/19.
Second.
All those in favor? Good. That's it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Congratulations on a
Good night,
very
everyone.
efficient meeting.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
was.